My name is Dustin Jenkins, and last month I scaled my coaching business to $32,000 of revenue. Understand that your business is exactly like a ship struggling to keep moving, with barely enough leads to keep it going. Now imagine if instead of having that ship that's barely moving, instead you had a flying and speeding jet across the sky. Well, first of all, you would just enjoy the process a lot more, and second of all, you would get to where you want it to be way faster. If you listen to what I tell you in this video, you're not only going to be able to make that a reality for your business, you're going to be able to do that consistently and have that consistent income coming into your bank account with ease. In this video, I'm going to tell you the secret that I use to generate more leads for my coaching business that you have probably never heard of, or you definitely are not implementing in the right way, which results in you not being able to have that constant flow of money into your bank accounts and this feeling of unease and uncertainty of this might not work out. This video is going to be insanely value packed for you if you want to ensure that leads are constantly coming into your business. Because if you can get those constant flow of leads and this constant, almost overwhelming amount of traffic, you're not going to have that feeling of potential uncertainty that this might not work. Make sure you watch until the end of the video, because towards that point, I'll be giving you an actionable step-by-step framework which ensures you can get those consistent leads coming in that I personally used to literally get almost 10,000 leads, or don't, and miss out on potentially life and business changing opportunity just because you couldn't sit down for a few minutes and consume and study some valuable information. Now, this advice can actually be used in any situation, no matter what your current state is and what or however hopeless you feel. In fact, this can be used in everybody's current coaching business situation. All you have to have is the ability to commit yourself and be dedicated to something. So don't let your situation impact what you are actually doing in the moment. This is because of the fact that these are actually just limiting beliefs that you're letting hold you back. They're like chains holding you back from moving on and getting more leads so you can actually make more money. In fact, a few months ago, so right now in the time of this recording, it's July of 2024. Now, a few months ago, back in February 2024, I actually scaled to $16,000 of LTV just in 1 month while being in school. So this just shows that you don't need to have a bunch of time. You don't need to have 24 hours in a day, every single day to work, no sleep or anything like that. You could be doing other stuff for literally half the day and still scale. So it's not about the fact that you don't have enough time. It's just about the fact that you don't have enough knowledge and the right knowledge to actually do the right action in that time, because of the fact that the only action you can do is based off of decisions you make. And you can only make decisions based off of thoughts you think and opportunities you perceive. So what I'm going to help you do is perceive the right opportunities so that way you can actually get to the point of being able to scale, not just scale your business, but being able to consistently replicate that scalability. In fact, you might then think, okay, even if you don't have a lot of time, or let's say you do have a lot of time, well, you're still doing some bad habits or something along the lines. Maybe you're not as consistent with meditation as you want to be. You're still listening to a bit of music or watching YouTube, something like that. Like maybe you're on YouTube watching Andrew Tate edits and some podcasts. Well, truthfully, that doesn't actually matter in relation to you making money. And what I mean by that is it wasn't actually a couple months ago, it was nearly a year ago now, I got on this call with a guy. He was making $50,000 a month. $50,000. And guess what he was doing on the call? He was vaping and he was drinking a Coca-Cola on the call with me, and he was making 50 grand. And I was like, now you shouldn't use you You shouldn't use that as an excuse to do these things. Rather, you shouldn't use these things as an excuse not to do the work. Because truthfully, it doesn't matter the state you're in, doesn't matter your current situation at all. As long as you have the ability to sit down and just look at a computer with internet, or even your phone with internet, you have the ability to make money. And these things are just trivial tasks or trivial things that are stopping you from getting to where you want to be. As you have convinced yourself that they are stopping you, and that's the only reason as to why they are. As the truth is that you can still not have much time. Like, you could only have 6 hours in a day. You could occasionally do some bad habits and still make a ton of money. In fact, there's this entrepreneur named Alex Hormozi. I'm sure you've heard about him before. Overall, over the course of over his entire business, he's making more than $200 million a year throughout different companies he owns, and he still drinks alcohol sometimes. He still watches shows and YouTube occasionally, and he's making $200 million a year. So if he can watch Netflix and he can do that, like he didn't give up Netflix, he didn't give up alcohol. I mean, now even he acknowledges that those are not necessarily good things to do, and they can inhibit your ability to work to a certain extent. But with that being said, just because you do one thing doesn't mean it's over for you. Just because like you get 6 hours of sleep and you don't get 8 hours doesn't mean you just can't get any work done. You're shot for the day. So understand that your current situation most of the time is only limiting you because you believe it to be, not actually because you are being limited by these things. Now, if you want to learn how I've made tens of thousands of dollars and how many other guys, like that one guy I hopped on a call with last November, made tens of thousands of dollars online, you can just feel free to click the link in my description, and all you have to do is join this free private community that I have. There are hundreds of entrepreneurs in there that are learning secrets that you are not, and they're going to dominate you in business if you do not join as soon as possible. Literally click that link right now, because you don't want to be left behind when they are learning things that you're not. Now, the secret to actually getting leads and getting the leads to be able to make that money, I'm going to share with you now. The number one biggest factor for why you are not getting leads is very simple, and this is just that you are not consistently acting in one direction. What I mean by this is you won't choose one thing. You've probably posted a couple of YouTube videos. You've probably tried cold DMs. Maybe you've tried cold emails. Maybe you have you're trying to post Instagram Reels. Now, everything that I mentioned, maybe you even tried paid ads. Who knows? Like paid ads, you could have tried that. The point is that all of these things work. All of them. They all work. But it's about you staying consistent with one of them. You probably haven't done 100 pieces of content every week over the course of all platforms for a year. You probably haven't done 100 DMs, cold DMs every day on one platform for a year. You probably haven't done that. So you need to make sure you're actually staying consistent in one direction and just choose one lead acquisition system, one place of acquiring leads, and that's how you're going to be able to get more leads. It's so obvious, and I'm not going to try to sell you on some dream that there's some little tactic, new 2024 updated meta that other people try to sell you on, or this new AI stuff. Truthfully, it's about you staying consistent, you consistently doing work. Stop trying to optimize the work you do, instead maximizing the time you have. Now, after you have maximized the amount of work you do with the time you have available, what you're going to do next is start testing out some things. Just test out stuff. You want to test out every little detail, literally everything within your process to make it better and better and better. But you need to do more first, because once you do more to get the understanding of, okay, how does this work? How does this thing work? How does this thing work? Instead of waiting to start or changing thing from here to here to here. And I know you're doing that, because I've done the same thing. I've tried like every different source possible. The truth is, you need to stick to one area. And once you stick to just one area and you do it consistently again and again and again, then you can start to add more. But you can only start to add more after you stick to that thing and test things out. So start testing stuff out within there. And then as you're doing that, then start to give away some more stuff for free. So then you can start giving away like free calls, free coaching, free resources and that stuff, because truthfully at the start, when you do start, your time isn't that valuable. Your time isn't that valuable because value is created when pain is alleviated, and you don't have the ability to alleviate a ton of pain from somebody's life. Therefore, give a lot away for free as you're generating these leads, as you're sending the cold DMs, or as you're creating content. You want to be able to be in the giving and learning mindset. And you can do that by just doing a ton of volume, by starting now, because people think they should learn a ton and then start. The truth is you can start, and that's how you learn, because learning fundamentally is just changing behavior when you're given a similar experience that you've had in the past. So if you can change your behavior in a positive direction, well, if you want to do that, you can only do that if you've had the experience to base this behavior change off of. Therefore, you just need to start, and then that's how you're going to learn. Do more and more volume, experience more, because you're going to learn through exposure. And you're going to learn through exposure because you're going to have the experience where you've been exposed to what works and what doesn't. Now, there is a 7-step actionable framework you can follow by, which I'm going to share with you right now. Starting with number 1, I know that you don't want to go to many different businesses, like go here and here and here and here and all these different places. However, you also don't want to keep switching how you do your business model that you're doing right now. You want to just stick with one thing. Stick with one lead acquisition stream, which means the way you acquire leads, like the river that's flowing towards you. You just want to stick with that one instead of trying to go to like 4 different rivers. Like imagine you walk down to a river. You go to fill up this bucket with water. However, you fill it up with water, and then because it's a little bit dirty because you're in some random river, right? Then you have to go distill it. And then you gotta get the dirt out and all that stuff. Well, then you go to a different river and you just get another 1/4 of, like, let's say you go to 4 different rivers and you get another 1/4 and another 1/4, and you just keep doing that until you've filled up an entire bucket's worth, but it's only 1/4 each time. The thing is that actually takes longer because you have to make the trip there and back, and then do the distilling, and then there and back, and then take, whatever it's called, distilling, taking the dirt out. Well, instead, if you just filled up your entire bucket at that river, you'd also learn that river and, okay, what's the fastest path of getting there? How clean is that water? Maybe you go test out. Maybe you test out, okay, a different bucket, a different way of getting the dirt out, and that sort of thing. And that's the approach you should take in business as well. Instead of going to try to get leads from like 4 different places, you're trying paid ads just a little bit. You try SEO just a little bit. You try YouTube and posting content on there just a tiny bit, right? And you tried cold DM a little bit. Stick with one thing and just do that thing. Because if you just stick with that thing and you just do that one thing, you don't have to make the trips all the way there, all the way back, test it out, there, back. You can just go there, get it, come back, and then you've got a full bucket instead of just a 1/4. And you go there, get a full bucket, and you do the same thing rather than getting a 1/4 from here, and then a 1/4 from here, and a 1/4 from here, a 1/4 and a 1/4, and you just keep going back and forth, because that takes you an extra like 10 times longer, because you have to go all the way there, you gotta come back, you gotta test it out, but then you also have to test out the individual pieces, like you have to test out the little details, just the tiny little details. Now, this doesn't mean if you do cold DMs that you can't make content. However, your main focus shouldn't actually be with that content, shouldn't be generating leads. Your main focus with content should actually just be providing free, valuable resources and building some sort of social proof that you are who you say you are. So that way, when you are cold DMing, when you are sending those DMs, that you can prove you are who you are, and not only that, but you can actually provide direct value to the person, the prospect you're talking to. Now, the next step is actually tracking every individual detail within that one stream, that one river, right, that you are getting your leads from. You have to test the little details, like what's the fastest way of getting there? Remember, we were talking about getting to the stream. Okay, what's the fastest way of getting there? What type of bucket should I use? Should I go during the day? Should I go during the night? Is there animals around here? Maybe should I bike there instead of walking there? Should I use this type of bucket? Should I use this type of bucket? Should I just bring my stuff all the way out? Like, there's so many different little variables that you can test out. However, that takes commitment and that takes time. So what you need to do is you need to track, because a lot of the time it takes time and people are afraid to commit that time. So you cannot be, and the way you cannot be is by tracking every metric. So this is talking about your positive response rate, like if you're doing DMs, right? Positive response rate, your average booking rate, your show rate, your close rate, these different sorts of rates, like how often people show up to calls, how often do they book calls, these sorts of things. You want to track each one of these metrics, and then the next step is setting a goal. So step 3 is setting a goal for the metrics that you track, because once you set a goal, then you can reach that goal. However, sometimes you don't. Then you find the lacking. So step 4 is, after you set these goals, you find the lacking metrics. So you find which metric is actually lacking. For example, for us on our outbound stuff, it was show rate. Our show rate, as we scaled, dropped drastically, so we had to figure out why that was. So it dropped from, like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it dropped to a low rate of 35% at one point, or 25% or something like that, in that range. Then we've been testing some stuff out very, very, very slowly. And then the way we did this is through creating a case study. So within step 4, as you find this lacking metric, you create a case study. How this is, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is you just have to say exactly what metric you're trying to increase, and then you need to have a set amount of actions that you're going to do. And then you do that same thing but with a different variable until you find what works and what doesn't. And that's really step 5. It's just repeating this cycle of case study creation with every metric as well as with every variable within those case studies, so that you can figure out what exactly works. So step 6 is really putting it together, like piece by piece. Okay, this is what works, this is what doesn't, this works, this thing works, this doesn't. And this just is so that way, once you actually hit the goals of all your metrics, you can start increasing all of them. Now what you can do is, as you can just scale your income like crazy by increasing the volume of action that you do, or your team do. So just increase the amount of action you guys do, because you've actually figured out what works, so that way you can scale, because nothing is going to happen, nothing's going to be wrong, which means when you fully commit yourself, you are going to know it's going to bring a return. Now I understand that was a lot, and truthfully, this will take a lot from you. This is going to take a lot of dedication, you being consistently dedicated and prioritizing your coaching business above a lot of stuff in your life, and you have to be willing to sacrifice. This is also going to take consistent effort and commitment over a very long period of time. I'm not just talking about a couple of days or weeks or months. I'm talking about years of consistent commitment. This consistent commitment over a longer period of time is worth it, because this will yield the result of you being able to build, or you have built, a replicable system of success, meaning that you're going to be able to replicate that same system again and again, and you're going to be able to build the skills which are necessary to continue to solve problems going into the future. So not only are you going to get the benefit of way increasing the quality of life and the amount of money you make, you're going to be able to replicate it at the next stage of scaling, so you can go higher and higher and higher. Now what it comes down to is you being willing to commit to going down that path, as you know what path you're going down. But are you truly willing to walk down that path to get what you want? The choice is yours. And you can do this on your own as well. You can do it on your own. You could potentially get there. However, I know that that's going to be a lot harder than doing it with somebody else or many other people. And right now you are definitely in this stage of, you have this pain that you just don't have very many leads. Maybe you get a couple hundred from this one thing, this other thing, and somebody refers somebody else to you one time. But let's be honest here. You're not bringing in many sales calls. You're not closing many deals. And overall, most of the leads you get aren't even qualified anyways. And I know you want to have that certainty of bringing in those sales calls, closing those deals, and making the money. The way you can do that is by clicking the first link in the description and joining my private exclusive free community, where you're gonna get access to the exact mindset that you need to create that certainty even when you haven't gotten the leads yet. But not only that, you're also gonna have access to a community of other people inside of there, as well as myself, that are gonna teach you exactly how, for free by the way, to get those leads and actually create that certainty, because it's already happened. And overall, you're gonna be able to generate more leads than you can even imagine. You're literally missing out on potentially life and business changing advice just because of the fact that you aren't taking action on something that's so easy to. You literally click a link, it's gonna take you 5 seconds. It's not hard at all. Yet you still haven't done it. So make sure to join now so you can get access to this stuff that is going to help you dominate your competition in business. Or don't, and just be like everybody else who doesn't take action, who lives this boring, mediocre, normal, average life. The choice is yours.